T-H-E-O-R-Y, I'm gonna show y'all how to write. Alright, now that I've gone over the basics of music theory for songwriters, I'm going to show 3 more things that you can use in application world for songwriting, but is also still going to hit on some of the music theory aspects of it. So the first thing is going to be intervals. It's just going to be nice to know what they are. So A to A sharp is going to be a minor second. A to B is going to be a major second. And it's going to continue like this. So A to C is going to be a minor third. This is going to be a major third. And that's how you know if it's a major or minor chord. A minor third A to C to E is going to be a minor chord. A major third is going to give it a major chord. Now what you want to look at is something like A to E. That's actually going to be called a perfect fifth. But every other number is either going to be a major or minor of that interval. And then once you get all the way up to A, that's just going to be an octave. Now for resolution, the 2 most common types of resolution you generally want to resolve back to your 1 chord is going to be a 5 to 1 and a 4 to 1. This is called a plagal cadence. Now, the most common way to get to 5 to 1 is going to be a 4 to 5 to 1, and that's going to be your subdominant, your dominant, your tonic. And so a lot of times you'll see it written as S, D, and T, but any function of subdominant to dominant to tonic will work. Now, expanding on that a little bit, this is what is a lot of times is called the doo-wop chords. It's very popular in the original forms of rock and roll, and it's still one of the most used. Is going to be the 1 to the minor 6 to the 4 to the 5. It sounds a little bit like this. And it's going to cover pretty much everything from the early 50s to today. Now, one of the resolutions I really like is going to be the flat 7th, the 4th, and the 1. And you can play it a couple different ways. In Sweet Home Alabama, it actually starts on the 1, goes to the flat 7, and then stays on the 4. So it goes D to flat 7 C, and then stays on G for a little bit. Whereas in something like Paradise City, it actually builds up, so it goes 4 to flat 7 to 1. But using this combination of those 3, this flat 7th, which is not a naturally occurring note, it really just gives kind of a powerful resolution to a song. And then as far as in minor keys, my favorite is to do minor 4 and then borrow the major 5. Normally you would go to a minor 5 and then a 1. So if it was A, it would be D minor, E minor, A minor. But if you borrow the E major from the E scale instead of the E minor, it gives a very, very powerful resolution. I like the minor 4 to 5 to minor 1 for minor scales. Additionally, if you're doing something in a major scale, using a minor 4 really has an impact on it. Now, when you look at extensions, you'll see things like sus2, sus4, dominant 7th, major 7th. Those are just the additional notes in a chord. So a sus2, a sus4 is generally going to take the 3rd out of it. So like an A would not have the C over here. It would either have a D or it would have a B. And what that does is it literally creates suspense, and it wants to resolve. Generally, a sus2 or sus4 chord will resolve back to the tonic. So an A sus2 will just resolve back to an A. A dominant 7th and a major 7th are going to be used quite often in modern music, in pop and rock, everything like that. And all the dominant seventh is would be if you're playing an A and you added a G. A major seventh would be if you added a G sharp. And all that is the interval. So the dominant would be a minor seventh above from the A, and the G sharp would be a major seventh above from the A. Now, a sixth chord, it has a pretty nice little sound to it as well. And then there's one that's called a ninth chord, and what a ninth is, anytime you see something above 8, 9th, 11th, 13th, anything like that, what that's really signifying is that you're just adding the second. So the ninth, what that's really just signifying is that you're adding a second, because you get up to the seventh, you start over, so the second note would be a B. So taking an A C or a C sharp, and then an E, and then adding a B on top of it would give you the ninth chord. That's used a lot in hard rock. A band like 3 Days Grace uses it quite often. If you're doing something in drop D tuning, it's actually really easy to play on a guitar, because you would play it like a normal power chord, but it actually adds in the ninth note, because your drop D tuning puts your bass note, your root note, just down to. And so it adds kind of a emphasis, a power into a general minor chord, or into a power chord, which generally strays away from including the third, that really signifies if it's major or minor. So those are just 3 more things you can use as far as music theory goes in an application world, as well as just knowing some basic terminology. You'll hear people use it all the time, and it's just nice to be able to know when somebody's saying, oh, I want to do a minor third above that. You can know, okay, a minor third is just 1, 2, 3 up, and a major third is 1, 2, 3, 4 up. It's going to make it easier for you to write, and it's going to make it easier for you to communicate with somebody who's writing. So thank you for watching this episode on basic music theory for songwriters. I hope you enjoyed it. I know I had a lot of fun. Next week, I will be looking into some style and aesthetics. So grab your aviators, put them on. We're going to look sharp, and we're going to have some fun. And until next time, always remember, follow the music, own the show. B-Row out.